Just before we get to this video, I want to mention Crypto Professor Plus. It's an exclusive premium subscription with bonus videos, technical analysis, and content available exclusively through YouTube, including the Crypto Professor Intro Investor Program, 117 videos of exclusive content and demonstrations. Click one of the links here to find out more information about this. Welcome to this Crypto Professor introduction to DFI or DeFiChain. Now, DeFiChain is actually a relatively new project, started in 2009. It is a fork of the Bitcoin source code. But what it's aiming to do is it's aiming to be a one-stop shop for decentralized finance, but on Bitcoin instead of Ethereum. If you've been following the DeFi landscape over the past couple of years, you'll know that there is a bottleneck problem that many developers are trying to solve with Ethereum. This goes in a different direction. This project builds DeFi protocols on top of Bitcoin. Now, since I first discovered DeFi, I've wanted to keep it to myself. I've kept it very quiet just because I can't believe the rates of return that are offered for masternodes through this project. What I've been doing over the past 2 months or so since I first discovered this project is trying to get as much DeFi token as I possibly can in order to get a masternode. Currently, masternodes are paying around about 60% per annum. That does fluctuate, occasionally goes down to 55 and then back up again. But you do have the option to lock away your DeFi for between 5 and 10 years at triple digit rates of return, basically. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on in this video. But first, I want to just introduce you to the DeFiChain ecosystem. So what is DeFiChain designed to do? Well, decentralized lending, decentralized wrapping of tokens, pricing oracles, exchanges, transferring of debts and receivables, non-collateralized debts, asset tokenization, and the distribution of dividends. So basically, it's designing to be a one comprehensive project for dealing with DeFi and the one-stop shop, as I say. Released in 2019, relatively new in terms of development. Nonetheless, it has had a very good 2020. It was actually one of the top performing coins of 2020, and especially one of the new top performing coins. The white paper here, you can have a read at your leisure, but it literally does go into why this token exists and what you can expect from it. One of the most exciting developments on the horizon is the ability to trade stocks and shares through a decentralized medium. And that is something that the team are working on. So let's look at the tokenomics. 1.2 billion tokens will exist. This number is actually rather inaccurate as there have been several burning events taken place since this number was actually published originally. This is why CoinGecko looks a bit weird with no rank for this particular token and no market cap and no circulating supply. If you look at the coin market cap instead, it does provide those figures. So a market cap currently around about $733 million, fully diluted around about 3 billion, and obviously a volume figure respected there. Circulating supply currently at present value is around about 300 million tokens, and a total supply of 588. So we're around about halfway between the release schedule at the moment, and obviously the price has been reflecting that. Now, if we look at the overall price since the start, we've actually got hovering around about the 20-cent region for a while, and then suddenly, as cryptocurrency took off back in late 2020, we saw the price climb. Now, because this token is based on Bitcoin, it does correlate very well with Bitcoin. So we haven't seen a massive rally recently, as people have been, it is believed, selling their DeFi tokens, who obviously run the masternodes, and liquidating those accordingly. So there has been a little bit of consternation with the price action recently. However, this project, I'm trying to get to 20,000 so I can own a masternode as quickly as possible. And towards the end of this video, I'll actually give you a demonstration of a particular use case for DeFi, which is CAKE DeFi, which is a separate project, but it's run by the same entity. So why was I particularly interested in DeFiChain? Well, the masternode, quite simply, is out of this world. I, consider myself to be relatively good with spotting decent masternode opportunities, but this literally blew me away. If you're looking here for an investment of around about, well, presently $45,000 or $48,000 recently, $49,000, you can get a $35,000 return for staking 20,000 DeFi for 1 year. Okay, which will generate 14,500 DeFi for you. Okay, on a daily basis, you're looking at around about $100 a day for that investment. To put it in context, putting $45,000 away for a predetermined period in a bank at the moment would probably only get you, at best, $45, something along those lines, or even less than that. Not even keeping with inflation, which, as you may be aware, has actually really escalated quickly at the moment. So we're looking at potentially, really high double-digit ROI, or even triple-digit ROI if you're prepared to lock your tokens away for a predetermined period. A lot of masternodes obviously have this feature where you can lock your collateral away for a predetermined period in order to get higher rewards. So that was principally what I was interested in. And then if you actually delve a little bit deeper into what DeFiChain is actually doing, it's almost as if it's going to want to replace something like Binance Smart Chain for DeFi, lending, borrowing, etc., that kind of thing. And if we look at what has happened to Binance Coin over the last 12, 18 months or so, then this could have some very, very strong potential. In fact, using priceprediction.net, which, not always the most accurate, but definitely gives us an idea of where things might be headed, we're currently at the maximum price in 2021, according to this model, and the average price is $2.36. We've recently been at the lowest price only last weekend. So over the last 3-4 days, we've actually oscillated between the minimum price and the maximum price for 2021. 2022, we're looking to almost double. And then continuing on, then we theoretically could hit a high of around about $70-80 per token by 2023. And then obviously, if you're looking at what you're going to get out of that eventually, you're looking at potentially a return of, well, if you bought it between $2 and $3, you're looking at, a $1.4 to $1.5 million return just on buying the token itself. So whilst the price action, obviously everyone likes to buy tokens as cheaply as possible, buying something for $2.50 won't get you the types of returns perhaps that you're expecting if you're buying something for 25 cents or 2.5 cents. But I think because of the masternode staking returns and because of the variability of the use case of this particular project, you're in very, very safe hands. And in actual fact, I'm putting my money where my mouth is, and I'm looking to generate as many DeFi as possible over the next 12 months to generate a passive income through a masternode. So what are the plans for the immediate future for DeFiChain? Well, the next major update, the next fork is Fort Canning, which is where the project is going to start doing decentralized loans and decentralized it's going to basically expand the capabilities and the capacity for decentralized finance with this particular token. One of the major issues that I see at the moment for DeFiChain is its lack of use case. There's not a particular project, apart from the one I'm going to mention right at the end of this video, that actually utilizes the exchange at the moment and the protocols. There's obviously a decentralized exchange which has been doing very well recently and volumes have climbed. However, there's no particular third-party protocol at the moment that uses the DeFiChain in the same way that perhaps Ethereum would. And obviously Ethereum is a much older project, has a lot more development behind it in terms of third-party developments, but at the moment that's a little bit of a problem. However, one of the really big highlights at the moment is the fact that DeFiChain is carbon neutral. 20,000 DeFi were recently added to a fund to offset the carbon of the chain, and therefore it's decarbonized, and therefore this DeFi project is actually carbon neutral at present. And obviously there may be development plans in the future for actually to make it carbon negative, but we'll see how that goes in the future. Naturally, not many people know about DeFiChain at the moment. It's kind of an early project. Here's the token burning that we saw before, 214 million DeFi. So there's now only there's fewer than 1 billion DeFi that could ever exist. That's another slightly, obviously a thing to think about with the tokenomics and that kind of thing. And we're actually looking at a development for load and decentralized tokenization with this Fort Canning update. And you can read all about that if you want to by going on the GitHub pages and looking at the various protocols, because obviously a DeFi chain is a decentralized environment where you can vote, masternode owners can vote on the outcomes of the project. So that's a very brief introduction, an overview of DeFiChain. I'm extremely excited about it. I hope you are too, predominantly for the fact that it has such a wide use case and it's got the technology behind it to launch. The team is a little bit small at the moment, and as far as I can tell, not many people are knowing about DeFiChain, which is one of the reasons why I'm doing this video. But I also wanted to get the information out there about the masternodes, which might change in the future. So let's look at that project that I was mentioning earlier. This is CAKE DeFi, which is the exchange or protocol, I should say, for borrowing and lending through DeFiChain. Okay, it is a separate entity, but it is run by the same individuals. Okay, this has a company attached to it, okay, that take a 15% fee of everything going through the exchange. You can manipulate that if you want to lock away some of your tokens for a while, but by and large, this is a company attached to the DeFiChain protocol. Okay, so for some of you who are genuinely wanting to make sure everything is decentralized as possible, this might not appeal to you. However, for me, it does at the moment, because I'm very happy to have a more kind of CeFi arrangement with my investments. And as you can see, I started this around about 20th of September, and so far I've managed to combine trading profits and passive income and obviously staking returns on this to generate about $3,500 in DeFi so far. Still very long way to go, only about 5.5% of the way to get to my target of 20,000 DeFi. But you can see that I've done this in two ways. I've not only staked my DeFi, which I can do by going through this staking option, okay, and I get a real-time return of 56.6%, and that's paid every 12 hours at 1 p.m. and 1 a.m. UK time. And you can actually see those going in here. So that's my DeFi effectively earning a passive income on itself. And then I've also got the liquidity mining, which is obviously very familiar to those of you who have been using DeFi for a while. BTC DeFi, so you can put 50-50 in and get 47.9% APR. ETH, 38.5%, 50-50. LTC, Litecoin, 47. My interest lies with the USD tokens, so Tether and USDC, 50% and 53% respectively. Okay, probably owing to the slightly higher risk of an unaudited stablecoin here with Tether as opposed to the very well audited USDC. Bitcoin Cash and DeFi, 51%. So you can see, and there's even a DOGE DeFi for those of you who perhaps have made quite a lot of money in DOGE recently. You can see, obviously, these are very, very high. They're very good returns. They do fluctuate. Okay, so when I joined, only about 6 weeks ago, this was in the 60s. Okay, and I've looked back at the forums, and this used to be above 100. So obviously, it does depend on the size of the pool. One of the reasons why I wanted to keep this project a little bit quiet, but also want to make sure that it survives long term, and therefore I've decided to announce it on the channel. So this might drop considerably as the project becomes more popular, but no doubt there will be another offering in the pipeline. I'm particularly looking towards the staking element, and this staying above 50% basically for the long term, and then obviously when I get 20,000, moving those off into my masternode. There is a third option, which is lending, which pays similar levels to what you would expect elsewhere, 6 and 7%, and it's marketed as a risk-free way of lending out your crypto assets in order to get a guaranteed return of between 3.5% and 7%. So relatively status quo on this perspective. But the two options that I'm doing, the liquidity mining and the staking, are excellent in my opinion, and I'm very happy with the way that those have been going. They do have a loyalty program, and they do have a reward system for the length of time that you've been with them. It's called a confectionery score. It's the average score of your assets over the past 3 months. Obviously, having a relatively small amount of capital on here, I'm just accruing a small confectionery score at the moment, and it is compared to Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin raises, your confectionery score will be lower. And if Bitcoin drops, then obviously for that particular week or 2 weeks or however long Bitcoin is lower for, then your confectionery score will be proportionally higher. And you can get all sorts of benefits, including what I'm looking for, which is discounted in DeFi and Dash, so the two major masternodes that I'm looking to run, free withdrawals, things like that, dedicated support email, etc. Explore at your leisure. However, if you'd like to sign up, and if you're particularly interested in owning DeFi and owning a masternode, I'd be very happy to offer you a referral token. There is a link in the comments section and in the description of this particular video for you to actually sign up and help the channel, basically. And you will get $20 worth of DeFi. It's around about 9 or 10 at the moment at the current price when you do that. So that can start you on your DeFi journey, and you can obviously explore at your leisure what the DeFiChain and the CAKE DeFi can offer you. I hope you've enjoyed that overview of DeFiChain. I'll be providing updates over the next few months on DeFiChain and the developments that it has. I think it's a very exciting project, and I'm really excited to be a part of it, and I'm looking forward to growing my finances through DeFiChain.